Welcome to part 3 of the Line Therapist training. What is ABA? ABA is the type of therapy that we do at Fox Valley Autism. It is what we bill insurance for, and it's what has the most research proving to be effective with kids with autism. ABA is something that exists in your everyday life. It's not something that we only use on people with autism. It naturally occurs everywhere. It's what shapes our behavior. So, everyday things that you enjoy or you dislike shape your behavior. If you don't like something, you're less likely to do it. If you do like something, you're more likely to do it. Those subtle things shape our behavior every day. Reinforcement is a basic principle that shapes our behavior. Reinforcement is anything that increases our behavior. So sometimes it's obvious things like things we like, but sometimes it can be less obvious things. A very simple example of reinforcement that naturally occurs is my son's friend. He comes over, they play, they have a blast together. Their fun together is reinforcing. But the kid at school who's mean to my son, that's not reinforcing. So my son doesn't want to spend more time with him. Punishment is the opposite term. That's anything that reduces behavior. So the mean kid at school is punishing to my son. Therefore, he's less likely to play with him. Punishment occurs in our everyday life. If we always take the same route to work, but all of a sudden there's construction and there's traffic jams and accidents, those are all punishing events. So we might consider taking a new route. Punishment is something that the Code of Ethics warns us about limiting our use of. It's okay to use naturally occurring punishment, but when we are implementing punishments to the kids that we work with, this is considered unethical unless we're pairing it with a reward system. As an ABA therapist, it's important to look for patterns because patterns can tell us what's going on with the behavior and how to fix it. If every time a child cries, his mom cuddles with him, gives him attention, and gives him something that he wants, this makes the child more likely to cry. This is a pattern where the crying is reinforced with good things. We want to break this pattern and stop the child from being reinforced so we can change that behavior. One important thing to remember with any behavior change is that it takes a lot of repetitions. The higher the disability, the more the repetitions. Another factor in how many repetitions is needed is how long the behavior's been in place. If a child has been doing this behavior for 5 years, it's going to take us a while to get rid of the behavior. So it's super important that you as a therapist don't give up and you stay consistent as long as the behavior plan is in place. We need your consistency in order to change these behaviors. Some examples of how to use ABA on behavior are as follows. Here are some more examples. Here's the last set of examples. So here are some common terms that go along with ABA. You might hear these when people are talking about ABA strategies. Keep in mind when talking about positive reinforcement, positive punishment, negative reinforcement, and negative punishment, these terms mean addition and subtraction, not good or bad. So if it's positive reinforcement, that means you're adding something pleasant. If it's negative reinforcement, that means you're taking away something unpleasant. So think of these terms in terms of math. Now we have made it to the question part of the video. Please answer the following question. What populations does ABA work for? Take some time to think. And choose your answer. The answer is ABA works for all people and all animals. We are constantly shaped by ABA, every person and every animal. This is something that naturally occurs. Question 2. Which one is a correct ABA response? And choose your answer. The correct answer is the child hits because he wants a toy, and you do not give him the toy and continue with your current task. So if a child has a problem behavior to get something he wants, it's important you do not give in to that. We want the child to learn that hitting is not effective for getting what he wants. Question 3. Which one is reinforcement? And pick your answer. The answer is the child wants mom's attention, so she makes a mess and then mom yells at the child. It's important to remember that even yelling or scolding a child can be reinforcing if the child is seeking attention. So it's important to not give that reaction if the child is seeking that. Question 4. Which one is punishment? And the answer is the child wants to get out of homework, so he swears, and the therapist makes him finish the homework. So remember, punishment means that it reduces the behavior. So the child is learning that when he swears to get out of homework, it doesn't work. Therefore, that's effective punishment. Now, some people would be tempted to answer that punishment would be sending the child to his room. This would actually be reinforcement because the child is trying to get out of homework. So if a child is having problem behavior to get out of homework and then you send him to his room for his bad behavior, you just rewarded him. Question 5. What is the most effective way to get a child to talk? And the answer is only give him what he wants if he talks. So remember, we're shaped by the consequences of our behavior. If a child gets what he wants without talking, he's not going to be motivated to talk. But if the only way to get what he wants is to use his words, he's more likely to use his words. And the more repetitions that you can do of this, the more likely it is that he is to talk. Question 6. You have been working on a behavior for a long time, but it is not gone yet. Should you give up? Should you try something new? It is important that you do not give up. Some children need 10,000 repetitions before they will see the behavior change. That's a lot of repetitions and that takes a lot of time. So hang in there, be consistent, and know that your efforts are worth it. And without you, we can't make that change.